This is Chief Tail and Chief Spine from Raya and the Last Dragon. These two chiefs were not even given names. I think they got like one-liners in the movie. At least Chief Tail appeared again, kind of dead, but she at least appeared again in the movie. Chief Spine never appeared again after the first meeting, but I think potentially there are a lot of stories here with these two chiefs. Tail and Spine look like very fun places too. Chief Tail was dead, but I'm going to revive her again. The movie ended without appointing someone else for the new Chief Tail. I don't think Boun is ready to give up on his Shrimporium and become Chief Tail. So the original dead Chief Tail is coming back. Hades can bring her back to life. She can do maybe same thing that Megara did. Do some kind of a deal with Hades in return for another chance at life. I want all 5 chiefs of Kumandra present in the story, so I decided to make her and turn her into a custom doll. At the same time, I was also making Chief Spine. It's easier to group similar kinds of work together instead of doing them separately, like sculpting everything all at once, sew everything all at once, edit videos all at once. I was also making Chief Verana of Fang at the same time, but I'm going to put her on a different video. I originally thought Chief Spine didn't say anything, but he did have a line. He thinks he's being pontificated by Chief Benja, and he thinks Dragon Gem is a weapon. Since that's one line he said, I think I'm going to get him to repeat some variations of that one line over and over again in my stories. He also appears younger than Tong, and also looks younger than all other chiefs of the lands, so I'm guessing this tribe values youthfulness. So those are the 2 characters I'm making in this video. I tried to sculpt them to look like them, but trying to make them to look exactly alike is beyond my ability. To start off, I crumpled up some aluminum foil and turned it into a ball. I covered it up with a thin layer of polymer clay and then baked it. All my custom dolls have jaw lines all looking round like a ball of aluminum foil, but I guess that's what happens when all their heads start off with a ball of aluminum foil. I made one for Chief Tail and another ball for Chief Spine. I dabbed a little bit of clay around the forehead, nose, cheeks, and the mouth. I smoothed them around and sculpted the faces. The heads are too small to do a lot of detailed sculpting anyway. As long as the head has a nose, a mouth, 2 ears, and something resembling like a face, I'm happy with them. I baked them once more. The color of the clay is a lot lighter than the doll's body, so I painted the head with some acrylic paint. I mixed some brown, yellow, orange, and white to make the skin color. I tried to resemble the doll's bodies so the heads do not look too out of place with the bodies. I painted the hair area black, but I'm going to put some wigs on them, but it's a lot easier if the color underneath the wig is also black. I painted the face after. I'm using the finest paint brush that I could find, but it still feels kind of too fat, so their expression looks a bit messy. I cut up some black wig and glued them onto the head where the hair goes. Their hair was too long, so I cut them short. For Chief Tail, I made a little hair bun. I left the top of the head empty because I'm going to give her a headdress. For Chief Spine, I gave him a haircut. His hair looks a little disheveled. Kind of looks like he really needs a haircut but doesn't have the scissors to cut properly. Kind of looks like he cut his own hair, so I took my scissors and just did some random vertical cuts. I don't want any hair to cut in straight lines. And then Chief Spine's hair is done. So the 2 heads are done. The next step is to make the outfits. And that actually took me a long time. I think I started this project like a month ago, and lots of things happened in between that time period. And I was on and off on the project, but anyway, making these outfits takes incredible amount of time. I might have to start reducing the number of custom props that I was going to make, because making everything might take just too long. I started with Chiff Tail. I started with her headdress. I took a round piece of cardboard and folded inward until it made a little dome. I covered it up with strips of yellow fabric. I kind of wanted this to look like she folded a long piece of fabric and turned it into a head cover. I think the headdress could have been bigger, but I guess we got what we got. Next, I took a strip of golden wire and cut it to about the size that can go around the headdress. I don't have exact colors of beads. Some of those beads on her head look like they're made of wood. I don't have any wooden beads. I basically took the smallest beads that I could find in my stash of beads and threaded them, so the colors do not exactly match what Chiff Tail was wearing in the animation. There is a golden tassel that's hanging in between the beads, kind of located above her left eye. I took some gold embroidery thread. I sewed them onto the gold wire. I cut them and unwound them so they would spread out more. And then I sewed the entire beaded ring onto the headdress so everything would stay in place. And then I glued the headdress onto the head. Next, I made her the earring. She seems to wear her earring only on one side. I again looked around my stash of beads and found 2 orange beads that seem to be about the right size. I lumped a few short pieces of golden wire and pushed them into the beads. I dabbed a little bit of glue so everything will stay in shape. I sewed the earring onto her hair near where her ear is located. It seems like that's a better way to secure the earring than gluing it onto the ear. Next, I worked on her outfit. She's wearing a sleeveless top with only one shoulder strap. She's wearing a pair of knee-length pants with some kind of a belt around her hip, which may or may not be a strap for her weapons. She's also wearing wristbands. I'm going to omit her shoes because shoes are rarely shown in my videos, and also to save myself some time. I used the dress patterns I made from the previous project. I basically cut the front and back pieces and sewed them together. I cut off one shoulder. It looks like the front and back pieces connect at the top through a very large ring. So I cut out a ring from a cardboard. I wrapped around the end of the shoulder strap into the ring and sewed them to secure it in place. I also cut out a long strip of fabric and make it look like it's coming out of the ring. So it looks like she has a kind of a very narrow and long cape coming out of the right shoulder. Next, I made a knee-length pant. I used the dress patterns I already had from the previous project. I think I'm spending more time covering up the seams than actually piecing together these pieces, but I don't want any tattered ends, so I guess it's part of the work. I took a wide strip of brown fabric and sewed it around the waist. That's her waistband. I took another longer, narrower strip of brown fabric. It wraps around her hip, but kind of let it hang from one side of the hip. I have no idea how these waistbands work, or if they're even waistbands. It kind of even looks like they are waist wraps that wrap around her hip and then ends around the front, but I cannot really tell for sure. I tried to figure out how her pants work, but I couldn't. So this is what I ended up with. I'm just going to assume those waistbands are for hanging her awesome looking swords. I'm going to come back and make all of the weapons in separate videos. It seems like weapons are important in this world. They all have very unique looking weapons. Each tribe has their own weapons and fighting styles, so we will come back and work on that in another video. Chiff Tail's swords look like hooks. Maybe Captain Hook and Chief Tail learned their martial arts from the same place. Next, I gave her the wrist wraps. I basically cut a narrow strip of brown fabric and stitched them around her arms. There are a lot of intricate patterns embroidered on her outfit and accessories, but I'm going to omit all of those to save myself some time. So we have Chief Tail. She will appear in the story a little bit later. She will be missing the first Chief meeting, mainly because she can't come. Next, I worked on Chief Spine's outfit. I did not have a fabric in his outfit color, so I chose a light gray for the top and the dark gray for the pants. I chose dark navy blue for the outer vest. I used a bright cyan for the wristbands, which are gloves, but I cannot make gloves for his tiny doll hands, so I turned them into wristbands. What took kind of forever was the shirt underneath his vest. His shirt looks like it's just wrapping of a long strip of fabric around his body. So basically what I did was I cut out a shirt on a very thin piece of fabric, and then I cut lots of long strips of gray fabric and layered them onto the shirt. Again, covering up the seams of these strips took kind of forever. One good part was that his shirt only had one long sleeve and one short sleeve. Trying to do both sleeves might have taken me a few more days to complete. I also did the same thing for the neck area. And then I took a dark navy blue fabric and cut out the elephant looking shape on the front of his shirt. I think they look like very stylized elephant head. I covered up the edges with black and white strips of fabric and then sew a string around the neck area. I should have painted the details on the elephant first and then sewn it onto the shirt later, but since I did it backward, trying to paint the details after it was sewn onto the shirt was a little bit more difficult. And then I made him a pair of knee-length pants. I think his boots go all the way up to the knees, but I omitted his boots. That would have taken me another day. His boots are never going to show anyway. I might be able to find him pre-made boots from another doll. If I really need the boots, I will make them later. As for the waistband, I cut out a wide strip of dark crimson purplish fabric and wrapped it around the waist. Finally, I cut out a wide strip of fabric from a cyan fabric. I decorated the wristbands with a long narrow strip of navy blue band. And now we have Chief Tail and Chief Spine. We need one more chief. Chief Verana of Fang, which will come in the next video.